Proceed to 38th Lane Northwest, then take a slight left turn.
Welcome to What Doin'. We're Deb and Aaron, two retirees originally from Washington State who love to travel the country, make new friends, have new adventures, scuba dive, hike, cook, and just about anything outdoors. Come along for the ride. You never know what kind of crazy adventures we're going to get mixed up in, and you never know what doing. Hello. We're at the Quinault Rainforest Ranger Station, which is closed. We're kind of off season. It's February 11th. We decided we'd take off this morning and find where was a good place to take a hike. The rainforest. It's dry right now. We'll see if our luck holds out, but there's nobody here. We ended up on the Kestner Homestead Trail, which is a 1.3 mile loop through the forest. It's easily walkable. In the summertime, it's densely packed. But the day we were there, no one was here with us. Even though this is one of the shortest hikes we take in the national parks at 1.3 miles, it took a couple of hours to make the trek. If you see what we see, you'll understand why. Here's an interesting tidbit. Washington has the largest trees in the world outside of California and New Zealand. About halfway through the loop, you'll come to the bridge that crosses Kestner Creek. The bridge was originally built in the 1920s and is no longer allowed for vehicular traffic, but as a pedestrian you can walk across just fine. In about 1891, an Austrian immigrant by the name of Anton Kestner came to the Quinault Valley. He cleared enough land to make 3 pastures and orchards where he raised pears, cherries, and apples. The initial house and all the outbuildings that were constructed the first year were lost in a flood. He rebuilt everything, and what you see today is what remains. The original barn was dilapidated and destroyed in 1997. It was rebuilt in 2001 using salvage wood from the original barn. You can get a peek inside the building through some of the windows that are still intact. You realize just how hard of a life this must have been back in the 1800s and early 1900s. From the old bridge to the smokehouse, you realize they really had to work to eke out a living. Anton Kessler passed away in 1939, and after an unsuccessful attempt by his children to keep the farm running, it was sold in 1944 to Orlo Higley. You can still see his 1940s Mayflower moving van on the property. It proved too much for even him, and in 1986 was sold to the National Park Service. When you're done exploring the homestead, head back down the trail into the forest again, where it receives an average 17 feet of rainfall. 17 feet! As we've been coming up the trail, we're hearing an owl hooting. It sounds like he's A, close, and B, very big. It's gotta be like right above Deb. Deb's right over there. And the owl has to be up in this one. I'm thinking that moss-covered one. We never did get a look at him, but he was one of the reasons that this hike took so long. You'll understand when you get there.
It's pretty impressive.
Even though we may not be happy about the amount of rain we get in the upper left-hand corner of the map, even outside the rainforest, it's hard to complain when you can see 4 different mosses growing in one tree. The vibrant green from the ferns, the mosses, and the ground cover is truly stunning, even in the winter months. I could sit by a creek and listen to this and watch all day long. After a good couple hours of walking through the woods, we decided it was time to head back. We got back to the parking lot to find our truck was the only one still in the parking lot. Knowing that the park is home to black bear, cougar, coyotes, black-tailed deer, and smaller animals like bobcat, beavers, otters, and raccoon, we decided to make the day a full round trip and cross the bridge to South Shore Road. We headed down the dirt road to look for what is probably the most infamous of all the national park animals, the Roosevelt elk. We were lucky enough to find the Quinault herd in the middle of Bunch Field. These animals are majestic, but you have to remember they're wild animals and they can also be very dangerous. Most guidelines say give them a berth of at least 25 to 50 yards. Keep in mind that the calving is done in late spring and the cows may charge and become aggressive. The larger bulls can become aggressive during the fall rut, usually between late August and October. These bulls can weigh up to 1,200 pounds.
Don't call the herd.
With the day getting late, we had to move on, but couldn't resist stopping to take a look at this immature eagle on the banks. Then I saw something out of the corner of my eye that made me realize why he was sitting there. A late run of salmon making their way up the stream. This was one of those magical days in Quinault Rainforest that I wish I could have spent more time on the bank watching the fish. But like all good things, it must come to an end. We knew we had to fly to get back home. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for us because you never know what doing.